Hello people, Jugglet here. As some of you know, I do community polls for designing killers, and once the voting reaches 24 hours or 1,000 votes, that's the decider. Jason is this month's lucky winner. So, Jason, who is he, what is he, and why is he? He's a horror icon who first got screen time back in 1980 and has had over 10 movies. That's the who, and this is the why. I'll keep this kind of brief as well because I want to just basically talk about the killer and how I design him. So, Jason gets drowned by bullies at Camp Crystal Lake. His mother avenges his death by killing the bullies. Then after her killing spree ends, she's murdered. Jason, who is no longer dead or hasn't died or drowned, witnesses her death and carries her severed head and clothes back to his shack and creates a shrine. Thus, Jason is born. The what is really questionable at this stage because the amount of movies that's been made about him are kind of ridiculous, and some of the ideas behind him are like he's a zombie or something like that, but essentially he's a big bloke with learning difficulties who wants to keep his appearance hidden. He has ridiculous strength, not that of a normal human, and he is fueled by the rage of his mother's killing. So that's like a mini origin story for him, but how would he fit into DBD with the ever-growing roster? Well, like this, with the most recent chapters being lackluster and a bit of an overall disappointment, for most of the community behaviour would need to pull something big out the bag, and Jason is the final big villain from horror movies who isn't stood alongside the likes of Freddy, Bubba, Pinhead, etc. I would release Jason as the latest anniversary chapter, or any anniversary chapter, along with Camp Crystal Lake as the new map. With the release of Jason would come another debuff, Burning. Any player inflicted with a burning debuff cannot be healed, and if they come into contact with another survivor, the debuff spreads to them. After 60 seconds, burning wears off. Sprinting reduces burning by 20% with a possibility of reducing the debuff by 12 seconds. Burning would look similar to the plague's infection, only like fire. You can still work on gens together without spreading it, but if you walk into a survivor or attempt to heal a burning player, you also gain burning. A health state is not lost on this effect. Jason, also known as the weapon for this chapter, would be a jack-of-all-trades type of killer. In Jason's basic form, which is just him and his machete, he would gain a new ability. Pressing the control key activates Rage. Hatred causes you to become unstoppable for 10 seconds. In Rage form, you can M1 gens for 8% regression, and causing them to digress in this form. You can also walk through pallets and doors, instantly breaking them. Pallets still stun Jason, causing him to end his current Rage form, and putting it on cooldown for 60 seconds. If Jason is stunned whilst not in rage form, 5 seconds is taken off its cooldown, so if you keep getting stunned whilst you've got the 60-second cooldown on, you could reduce it by quite a lot if you're chasing the same survivor. You can basically no longer respect pallets because you are this juggernaut of a man. In rage mode, his terror radius is increased to 54 meters, with his basic being 32. So basically, normally you're walking around with your machete while it's off cooldown. As soon as you press rage mode, you've got it for 10 seconds of being unstoppable, and if you're stunned whilst in that mode, you become out of it, and it goes on cooldown for 60 seconds. Obviously, if you get no value out of it, that's totally fine as well. The 10 seconds ends, it goes on cooldown for 60 seconds. If you're stunned whilst it's on cooldown, you can reduce it by 5. When Jason spawns into a map, 4 burning barrels will be evenly spread across the map. The barrels are invisible to Jason in white, which gains him his second weapon, Fire Poker. Similar to in the movies, he does kill people with various weapons, and Fire Poker is one of them. Pressing space on a barrel causes Jason to plunge his hand into the barrel, reaching for a Fire Poker. This is a burning projectile. Jason can launch the Fire Poker by holding M2 to raise his hand and then M1 to throw it. Or he can simply plunge it into someone as a melee weapon. This uses the weapon on impact. There is no drop off and only a short wind up to throw the projectile. If the weapon hits a survivor, it damages them for a health state and inflicts burning. You cannot carry more than one at a time. So you can't just stack a load of fire pokers. You can pick one up, you can throw it, you can go back to the barrel, pick another one up. That's his second weapon. Searching a locker causes Jason to gain a hedge trimmer, similar to in the movies again, another weapon. With this weapon, he moves at a reduced speed, 110%, but his terror radius is reduced to 16 meters. With this weapon, he can M2 quickly to swoop over pallets and windows. It has an AoE effect, so one swoop can hit multiple survivors. The M1 of this weapon counts as the lunge. The hedge trimmer lasts 60 seconds or can be dropped at any time by pressing the control key. Once dropped, it cannot be used again. There is 6 in total, spread evenly across lockers on the map. Lockers containing a hedge trimmer are highlighted in white, once within 24 meters. The hedge trimmer hits for 1 health state. If hitting only 1 target, it causes deep wounds. So if you hit multiple targets, no deep wounds. The arcing swoop of the hedge trimmer would be similar to the length of Nemesis tier 3 whip, which is 6 meters. So you can get some pretty cool plays, like say if you're at the shack and you want to do some mind games, you can flick it over the top of the window, or if someone's pre-dropped a pallet, you can swoop over the top of that as well. It does not have collision. It doesn't like bounce off a wall and then put you into like a frenzy similar to Bubba. So that's Jason's power. He's a master of weapons. I think this is a perfect way to showcase how he is in the movies. He uses multiple weapons to kill people during his stalks in the films, such as sleeping bags, fire pokers, hedge trimmers, garden shears, and of course his machete. But we're just going to focus on 3 of them because it would get a bit ridiculous if you had 5 different weapons. You can really do a lot of cool combos with this killer. If you know your rage mode is off cooldown, you could throw a burning poker and tap into rage mode and smash through pallets easily, ending a chase with your target. Or you could simply tap rage mode to go on a gem punching frenzy and maybe break some of those already thrown pallets or doors to create dead zones. You would never get bored with the array of different playstyles he has. You could be a raging juggernaut, only going machete mode, or a ranged nightmare throwing fire pokes from a distance, or almost a self killer with a very niche and slow AoE effect. The choice is endless. With Jason comes 3 teachable perks. Hex Combust. Anytime a Hex totem is cleansed, the totem bites back, inflicting the survivor with a burning debuff. Scourge Hook, Gift of Flame. Once a survivor is hooked on a Scourge Hook, anyone working on a generator at that time will become inflicted with burning. Jason's Shrine. Anytime a survivor enters the basement, all of a survivor's aura is revealed to the killer for 2, 3, and 4 seconds with a 30-second cooldown. I wouldn't really know who to do for the survivor of this chapter, but if it was down to me, I would actually go for one of the bullies because I think it'd be interesting to have a young survivor in the realm. Let me know what you think of this anniversary chapter idea in the comments. Take care.